All right, good evening, Laker fans. What's going on, everybody out there? Appreciate you guys tuning in. A little post-game show action here. Little hoops talk post-game. Warriors over the Lakers, 111-97, the final score. We're going to spend some time talking about it. Listen, I told you guys. I know I'm doing some stuff in the morning, doing the Sliwa show, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., but I did say that I'm not leaving my Laker people behind. I'm just kind of trying to add to the channel here. Appreciate you guys hanging out for the post game show. Got a lot of stuff to get into. One of my favorite things to do is to react to Los Angeles Lakers basketball. We're going to do that tonight. Yes, in a preseason game. Only two more preseason games remaining for the Los Angeles Lakers. And then obviously we're going to do it all season long as well. All right. It's preseason, so it's going to be ugly basketball. Nothing's really going to be all that pretty. You watch the games and you don't try to take too much away. I kind of am more curious in the first quarter, maybe the first half, just kind of depending on what players are in there. Obviously, there's going to be certain times just based on the game. Some, as you get a little bit closer to the preseason ending, some coaches, Steve Kerr, JJ Redick, maybe they're going to experiment a little bit longer. Maybe they're going to give some of their main players a little bit more playing time in the fourth quarter. Listening to Billy Mack and Stu Lance, there are a couple different times they're like, what, Draymond Green's coming back in here in the fourth quarter? Steph Curry's checking back in. They had three starters. I think Wiggins was in as well. They had a few guys in there late, but for the most part, everybody's just being strategic. They understand that these games don't matter. So for Laker fans out there saying, what the hell's wrong with the Lakers? Why are they 1-3 in preseason? Because it's preseason. Now, Golden State, I want to say, is 4-0 in preseason, maybe even 5-0. So they've been certainly winning games. And I'll get a little bit to the Warriors because I do have some intrigue about them this upcoming year. Okay, for the Lakers, a couple things to kind of point out here. By the way, AD played 26 minutes. LeBron played 23 minutes. D'Lo played 30. Austin Reeves played the least amount of the starters with 17 minutes. No surprise again. Dalton Connect plays another 21 minutes and really has the green light to do whatever the hell he wants so far in preseason. I think that's a telling sign of how they're going to use Dalton Connect once the season starts. But a couple things to kind of point out first from a team perspective, and then I'll get into some of the individual players. If you're here, you're hanging out, that means you're a true Laker fan. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. If you're here on a preseason basketball game on a Tuesday night, October 15th at 9:20, that means you're a Los Angeles Laker fan. And we all know that Laker brand is everywhere. So no real surprise or shock to me. I've been doing a lot of post-game shows over the years, so I know Laker fans are everywhere. But truly, if you're hanging out on a Tuesday, preseason game number 4, you must be a big Laker fan. A couple things to point out from just a team perspective, and I'll get into individual players. Got kind of some thoughts so far on preseason. Got some thoughts on the Golden State Warriors, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. Lakers just didn't shoot well. I have a lot of curiosity about the Warriors because I never want to count the Warriors out. I give that franchise that much credit. So I have curiosity, but the way they played tonight was very much Golden State Warriors basketball. Constant movement, the ball constantly moving, players always in action, firing up a ton of threes. They took 45 threes tonight. Lakers ended up taking 40. No high percentage from both of these teams, but really not a good percentage at all from the Lakers from that perspective. But both teams, launching threes. This is what the Golden State Warriors do. This is kind of their philosophy, their foundation. They have 3-point shooters. They move the ball a ton. However you want to describe it, that's typically what the Golden State Warriors do. They shot 46% from the field. Lakers only shot 36%. So right out the gate, you're hitting a lot less shots than the Golden State Warriors. That's why you end up losing by 14 points. Just the simple math there. 3-point shooting, they hit 14. Lakers hit 11. I'm a little concerned about 3-point shooting for the Lakers because I think JJ Redick's going to want these guys to fire away. I just don't think they have necessarily the personnel to say, go ahead and fire away, right? Like, I don't think that's at least as of now, that's going to take time, in my opinion, for the Lakers to kind of show that they have some real legitimate 3-point shooters. You're looking at guys like Gabe Vincent, D'Angelo Russell, Dalton Connect. Austin Reeves, can he be consistent from there? What kind of percentage will LeBron have from the three-point line? But the Lakers, just 28% tonight from three. No real surprise. Lakers got to the free throw line a ton. They did it a lot last year. The Golden State Warriors, their game is not in the interior. It's typically going to be from the outside. This is what the Golden State Warriors do that is impressive, that I think should give some of their, their people, their fans and everything else a little bit of hope when it comes to this upcoming year. I think one of the things that stands out to me as I play with my mic level there, sorry about that. I think one of the things that stands out to me, they had 33 assists in tonight's game. 33 assists in tonight's game. Do you know how impressive that is? To play the game of basketball, the beautiful game of basketball, and have a squad out there dishing out 33 dimes. Damn, that's a lot of assists. 20 assists for the Lakers. Turnovers, Lakers just with 12. The Golden State Warriors with 14. If you have 12 turnovers, by the way, in a preseason game, it's basically flawless. That means you had no turnovers. A lot of these games that we watch in preseason, it's ugly. The timing is off. These guys are not properly conditioned in preseason basketball. They're kind of working their way back. The ball is everywhere. Guys are making mistakes everywhere you look. 20 turnovers is very common in preseason basketball. Only 12 for the Lakers. So that's a good stat to have right there. And from a largest lead perspective, the Warriors at one point had a 21-point lead. Lakers, largest lead they had was 7. But for the most part, and specifically in that second half, really from the second quarter on, the Golden State Warriors had a lead. They even had a lead at the end of the first quarter, but they just kind of, that lead mounted as you got into the second half. So something to keep in mind there. Okay, I mentioned individual players that I want to get into and just kind of take it from there. Let me just kind of start with the Lakers here with some of the main players. Great to see Anthony Davis get a little bit of minutes. Looks very comfortable. We all know how important Anthony Davis is on both sides of the floor for the Lakers. And the Golden State Warriors are a perfect example of a team that just has no answer for Anthony Davis. A lot of squads don't have answers for AD, but they definitely don't have an answer. This team definitely doesn't have an answer, as in the Warriors, when it comes to Anthony Davis. AD, 24 points, 12 rebounds, a steal, a block shot. I like the 10 for 14 from the field. I like getting to the free throw line. Not a ton, 5 times, but hit 4 of 5 from the free throw line and only took 1 3. I wonder what happens this year with Anthony Davis and three-point shooting. I wonder how much pressure he's going to have from J.J. Redick and the rest of the team to, AD, you got to take threes. You got to take threes. I'm not a big believer that Anthony Davis has to take threes. I think if I'm a defense from an opposing team and Anthony Davis wants to fire up 5 or 6 threes, I'm going home that night praying to the man above and saying, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for having Anthony Davis, not in the paint, not 15 feet away from the basket, not 5 feet away from the basket, but 22 feet out, taking threes. So AD, solid all around tonight, kind of a typical Anthony Davis game. And he's going to always do this against a team that's so undersized like the Golden State Warriors are. They just got no answer. It's kind of been one of the confusing things with me about the Golden State Warriors. They've never really addressed their lack of size these last couple of years. And it's shown. I think it's definitely had an effect on how far they get. Going further and further just down the list of the different players, Rui Hachimura had 15 points, took 5 threes, hit 1 of them, so was 1 of 5 from the three-point line, did play 28 minutes, 5 of 14, also had 9 rebounds. If Rui Hachimura has games where he's 15 points and 9 rebounds, we'll take that. Now, he wasn't efficient. For him, it's going to be a lot of making the right decision. They're not going to run an offense through him. They're not going to ask him to go out there and drop 20. That's not his game. Rui's going to have to just basically feast off of the leftovers. Whatever Anthony Davis doesn't get, whatever LeBron doesn't get, whatever D'Angelo Russell doesn't, go out there when he's being aggressive, or Austin Reeves. Guys are going to have to find Rui Hachimura. He's going to have to be comfortable with hitting open shots. Rui Hachimura is, for me, of a few of these players that I'm looking at this upcoming year, I think this is an important year for Rui. He's not talked about all that much. There's not really a ton of pressure that's on him. If he doesn't have a good game, I don't feel like enough people are talking about it. The Lakers need Rui to be a good player this year. They do. They need him to be a solid player, night in and night out, that's contributing, that's finding ways to impact a game. And I don't care how he does it. If offensively he's got a night where he had 18 or 20 points because the ball was coming to him. He was efficient. He was crashing the glass. Guys were throwing him, giving him good looks because they're double teaming Anthony Davis or something along those lines. Great. Let Rui go to work. But Rui's got to also find ways where the ball is not in his hands and it's not just about the offense. Grab 8 rebounds and have 3 or 4, maybe even 5 assists. Have a couple of block shots because of your frame, your body, and how perfect of an NBA body that you have. Have sequences where you might have been the difference of the game because it was a defensive stop that you had, or you're bodying up one of the other team's players that's got to be a key focus on the Lakers' defensive side. I'm curious about Rui. He got a 3-year, $51 million deal. This is going to be his second year of that $51 million deal. Rui's an important player for the Lakers. He's got to live up to some of those expectations in that contract. If you want me to be blunt about it, I'll be blunt about it. He's got to live up to some of those expectations. I think he was way too inconsistent last year, way too inconsistent. I want to see him do well. Any interaction that I've had with him, one of the nicest guys on the team. It's very, very easy to cheer for him. Now I just want to see him take his game to the next level. And hopefully he's able to do that for the Lakers. But play 28 minutes tonight. 14 shots. That's a lot of shots for Rui. Of all the Lakers that were out there, Rui was second in shot attempts for the Lakers tonight. Anthony Davis and Rui each took 14 shots. Dalton Knecht took 15. Let me get down to Dalton Knecht. I'll do it a little bit further down. I got some thoughts on Dalton, but that dude's got the green light. Hopefully that green light will eventually churn into taking the right shots. Hopefully that green light will also be an efficient shooter. But clearly the Lakers are focusing on Dalton Knecht and getting some opportunities. Okay, keep going down the list. LeBron, 23 minutes of play, 3 and 9 from the field, 6 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. I don't need to see anything from LeBron James in preseason. I'm pretty sure most people don't. But just seeing LeBron out there, obviously for me, I'm looking more at how's he looking? Does he look 39? Sometimes he does look 39. Sometimes he looks 29. I think, but that's kind of been the case with LeBron for a while now. By the way, let me go back real quick to Rui. If you have thoughts on Rui Hachimura, because I do think he's not a player that's talked about enough. Do you agree with me that this is somebody that is going to have a lot of eyes on him this year? Maybe they won't have a lot of eyes. Maybe I'll just be one of the only idiots talking about him. But I feel like he should have some eyes on him. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that it's critical that he's a big part of this Lakers team this year, or do you think I'm making too big of a deal of it? But just some of your expectations on Rui Hachimura. D'Lo tonight, 30 minutes, 2 of 10 from the field, 2 of 6 from the 3-point line, 6 points for D'Angelo Russell. Was this a playoff game? Is that playoff D'Lo right there? I took a cheap shot right there. D'Lo's going to do his thing. I'm not too concerned about D'Angelo Russell in the regular season. Both of the shots he hit were threes, contested threes. A tough shot over Steph Curry. I think just a possession or two before that. It might have been back-to-back possessions where he hit both of those threes. He was kind of on the left side of the basket towards the baseline, the Warriors side of the bench, and hit a three. So he had 2 threes right at that same time. D'Angelo Russell has been the most polarizing player for the Lakers really over the last year and a half, and I don't think that's going to change too much. Sometimes there's going to be a tension that goes somewhere else. But D'Lo, when he has nights where he shoots 2 of 10, 2 of 6 from the 3-point line, did have 7 rebounds. Give him some credit there. A couple of steals, a block shot, only 1 turnover. So you'd like to see that from D'Lo. But the 6 points off 10 shots, a lot of Laker fans would look at this. If this was a regular season game and Lakers lost by 14, everyone would be pouncing on D'Lo. That kind of just comes with the territory for D'Angelo Russell. I think he knows it. I think he's accepted it. Sometimes I think it's incredibly fair. Other times I don't think it's fair. But sad enough, and I hate to say this, but I really actually do. When I do see that from him, the 2 of 10 from the field, it does make me think of D'Angelo Russell in the playoffs. Now, he's got some good playoff games as well, but certainly he's had a lot of playoff games where it's been a headache. 13 points for Austin Reeves, 3 of 8 from the field. That's going to be your starting lineup come a week from tonight. Laker fans, how cool is this? A week from tonight, we got a little Lakers, Minnesota Timberwolves action. Huh? I got to figure out my schedule. I got to figure out which games I'm going to go to over the first couple of weeks or so. So I'm gonna figure that out with the schedule. I'm looking forward to getting up there and being there for games, but no games at crypto.com the entire preseason. That doesn't make any sense to me. Obviously, they had the game in Milwaukee. They've had a game here in the Bay, or no, this was in Vegas. But they've had Phoenix or coming up. And anyways, long story short, it's odd to not have any games at crypto.com. So a week from tonight, Lakers going to be taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Finally going to be a home game. Finally a game at Crypto. But that's going to be the starting five for the Lakers. A starting five that went 18-6 to close out last year, and competitive to an extent against the Denver Nuggets, even though they lost in 5 games, but a lot of close games. That's going to be your starting five. So we know these players. There's no shock or surprise about. Nobody's walking into a game and saying, I wonder what D'Angelo Russell's going to be this year. Now you got a pretty good idea. You got a pretty good idea of Austin Reeves, obviously LeBron, Anthony Davis, and then Rui. Hopefully he can continue to improve. But that's going to be your starting five. You're going to be going up against some really, really good teams in the Western Conference. I was looking at this in the West. So here's what we got in the Western Conference. I was doing my show this morning, and I was spending a little time kind of rattling off all the teams. Here are the teams that you could just assume are going to be in the playoffs this year. I'm going to assume Oklahoma City Thunder, Minnesota Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to assume the Memphis Grizzlies are also in the playoffs this upcoming year. That's 5 teams right there. I think there's a good assumption you could say the Phoenix Suns. That's another 6. Are you putting the Pelicans there? There's the Sacramento Kings. There's the Los Angeles Lakers. There's the Houston Rockets. There's the San Antonio Spurs. There's really only 2 teams that I could look at right now and say, yeah, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And, obviously those teams, I think you guys have a good idea of which teams that I'm talking about in regards to that. So I think you guys have a good idea from that perspective. All right, let me see here. How late am I on this? I'm going to.
Just didn't make shots, and that's a human nature. It's a tendency of groups of players. I've lived it. Again, a lot of these things I've lived, so I have some experience and some perspective on it. You stop trusting it, and you start. I got to get myself going. And that's not how we want to play, and that's okay. It happens. We'll get better. But I was very pleased with the types of shots we generated, and given their size and given, Draymond's a savvy player. This was not going to be a heavy rim game for us. It just wasn't. So again, I just thought they started that third. I didn't like how we played.
One individual note, Rui had 9 rebounds today. His rebounding has been up all preseason. Did you kind of specifically mention? Yeah. What have you seen from him, and then kind of follow?
Rui's been great. I mean, he, I think was still getting acclimated when we had our first preseason game. He'd only practiced 3 times and was not a full participant in most of September. He was in and out of the gym, and he had some family stuff. So, he's been super committed to our classroom and in the mornings, and we talked about today, feels like that's been very helpful, and everything we've asked him to do, he's done. So he's been awesome.
JJ, I know.
All right, that's I'm gonna stop it right there. As JJ